Well, it's actually, I think, very telling about life. You know, it tells us that remember that you must die, so to live the life you have today till its fullest. This is what it means.
It's
It also is humbling. You know, it's a humbling statement because no matter where you are in your life or what is happening due to circumstances of life, which can be joyous and beautiful, but also punishing and cruel. We all have to die at some point. So. You know, Depeche Mode, we always, all the songs are about life and living life, or living in the light, living in the darkness, whatever you choose. But they're songs about things that we all go through. So that's one thing I can say about Depeche Mode is that the songs have always been honest in that way. They often emulate experiences of my own, and I know also experiences of people that enjoy to listen to our music. They can relate to sometimes the melody or the melancholy or the lyrical content or the combination of all the things. My voice, the way I express the words, because often the melodies and the words combined have meaning to me in some way. They touch my spirit, my soul. So does the titles have a connection? I don't know. I'm grateful for a lot of things, but to still be here, to experience the things that happen. Sometimes they're challenging, and sometimes they're just full of fun. And I think that's happened more in the last 10 years or so, or 20 years of my life, where I've been able to enjoy my family and my friends and the things that I've been lucky enough to experience. You know, I think when you're younger, you sort of race to this. You think it's like a race to some kind of destination. But you know, as you get older, you realise it's not. You have to stop now and again and realise what you have, not what you don't have. And I think, you know, this album as well, it's kind of what Martin and I have found ourselves both sort of lyrically talking about, and melodically as well, in the way that we express ourselves in the songs, sometimes through words, sometimes through melody, and sometimes through the voice, or the instrumentation, the atmosphere. All these things come together sometimes and work really well. I think with Memento Mori, we've managed to somehow, between the two of us, because that's what Depeche Mode is now, and we found ourselves in this position. Although Martin and I were already writing these songs and working on the demos for the last 2 years, and then finally getting together in the studio earlier this year, before we lost Fletch. Martin and I were in the studio with James Ford and Marta Salogni, and we were working on these songs, and I sang about 10 of them, a few of my songs and a few of maybe 7 or 8 of Martin's. So we were already figuring out that it had some meaning. And then unfortunately, Fletch didn't get to hear anything. He didn't get to participate in anything that you will hear when this record comes out. I know he would have really liked some of the songs, and I hear his voice as well in the studio. Both Martin and I, a few times, more than a few times, felt him in the studio with us, like a missing space.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as though Fletch would pick up an instrument or contribute something musically in that way to the records, but he had a big his personality and his love of the band. And he was kind of like the biggest fan, to be there all the time, kind of judging us. And I think Martin and I both missed that. We missed him being there, listening to what we'd done, knowing that he would like some, and some he would just say, does every song have to be about death? You know, he would joke or something. But probably wouldn't like the title of the record.
Why?
Just because he could have to say something. You know, Fletch was like that. You know, he would, and it makes you question. You know, in a creative process, sometimes the antagonist is the person that creates an atmosphere that becomes tense, and sometimes good work can come out of that. Sometimes it doesn't. He could be. He made me work harder. He made me fight harder for my own songs and you know, things that I felt were important. And sometimes it would become difficult because Fletch was always always from the first time I met him 40 odd years ago, Martin was his friend, and Martin was the person that he would go to the grave for.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Beginning to be. We both felt that in the studio. Of course, at first it was like we were meeting for the first time in some ways, because Fletch wasn't there to kind of negotiate between the two of us, or you know, so it's like Martin described it as two long lost brothers who finally get to meet each other and try to have a relationship. I never argue with Martin.
No.
I've never, rarely, maybe, that's the problem. And Fletch would argue with me for Martin.
Okay.
But I didn't like that, and you know, it's not a way to communicate with anybody, but when you're in a family that can sometimes be dysfunctional or very codependent, that's the way you, as we know, in families it happens. Brothers can be together, but they don't like each other, or sisters. But you know, only very few times have I ever sat with Martin and we would fight about something. Happened during Spirit. The producer James Ford, at one point during the album, made us sit together. He made everybody leave the studio, including Fletch, who did not like that at all. He was sent home to the hotel, and Martin and I sat in front of each other. We put 2 chairs together, and he said, "You're going to figure this out."
Okay.
And we both sat there for 5 minutes, waiting for someone to say something. And it got to that point, I guess, where we needed to, talk about what was happening. And I think both of us felt that the other person was not really listening or understanding them or helping them to. I felt this from listen, I'm here. I sing for you. I've been here for many years. I love you. I love your songs. I'm a part of this, what we do together. I have some ideas too, and I need you to be there for me. So, and this caused, we were finally talking about it, and it was hard. But after all these, sometimes that has to happen. So Martin and I are very similar, even though we're very different. We're both very stubborn. We're both are very confident about what we can do, and it's different. But when we come together and it works, it can be really magical. And I think with Memento Mori, we, and the help with James Ford and with Marta Salogni as well, they kind of brought out the best of both of us, not just in songs, but what we can bring to something. When we were working on this, Martin, without doubt, he does most of the heavy lifting, what I call the work, the real, he's extremely talented. He could go make records forever on his own, in his own studio, and build it all. But there's something that I bring to the thing, which is Depeche Mode. Hopefully a couple of songs. Yes, we have, yeah. We were unanimous on that as well. There's a lot of things on this record where we've not had to... we agreed on the title early, we agreed on songs we wanted to record. I told Martin I had a few songs, a couple that I sent him from me playing guitar and singing into my iPhone, and he would work on them and send them back to me, making them better. Hopefully I did the same with him. He'd send me his songs, he would sing some, and I then would sing and send it back to him, and he'd put my voice in his song. And then we got in the studio together for 10 days at first, and I sang 10 songs that already in that early recording session that we did together felt like it felt right. I don't think my children listen to my music much. Only if they want to make fun of me. But
your daughter is singing.
It's good. It's a good thing. My daughter has a band of her own with Stella Rose and the Dead Language, and what she does is very different. I've seen her perform a couple of times.
They say she moves like you on the stage.
She looks like you.
Oh, she does her own thing. She has. I knew when she was really young. When I heard her sing in her bedroom, she would sing like jazz songs, like Billie Holiday songs, or I'd hear her singing this song with perfect intonation and timing and feeling and pitch, and I would be like, and she was like 8 years old or something, and I'd be like, how does she know how to do this? So I knew she has a voice that was already, she had something in her voice that I heard when she was really young. So, you know, it makes me happy to know that she wants to do it. And she's doing everything on her own. She's made a record with a producer in Los Angeles and with some different musicians. This song, the first few songs are coming very soon. She made some videos, and she's now has a band of musicians that she works with in New York that have been doing gigs, and she does it all on her own.
That's great.
Her boyfriend also is involved in all the visual aspects of what they do. They do all this. It reminds me a lot of when we first started. Because you make your own T-shirts, you make your own flyers, and you know, you let all your friends know that you're playing this little club, and everyone shows up. And I went to one show to watch her in Brooklyn at this little club called Baby's Alright, and I brought some of my friends, and we were like the oldest people in there. You know, everyone else was like maybe 25 at the most, and it was packed. And she did her thing, and I was literally blown away. And my friends too were like, "Wow." She has such a big, powerful voice, and her band are great. They're really cool, like hungry, sort of 3 musicians: drum, bass, guitar. Stella Rose plays a little guitar. Together, Martin and I both, when Fletch passed away, well, we spent a couple of days just in shock and talking to some friends, and his wife, of course, and that was hard. And we a couple of days later, we'd already started this process, Martin and I, and we'd already started recording, so we decided that we should continue. We have to finish what we'd started. Do I ever think that it's the end of the band and stuff? Always, yeah. Every record, every tour. It's a lot. It's a lot you do, and I always think we have had so much success. The albums have always, at least the last 20 years, been well reviewed and liked, and the tours have been more and more successful as we go on. Like the album says, Memento, Mori, it's like, you know, remember that you must die. Everything must end. When that is, I don't know. I always think with Depeche Mode, you know, as I get older, I can feel the time is coming closer. Not just for Depeche Mode, but to stop. I see myself always making music, but touring is hard. It's hard.